Hello everyone and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, where we watch every single theatrically released animated film in order. Except this time we're going back in time.
To 1930.
Yes. This will eventually appear in the correct order
On the playlist. So, if you're from the future and you're watching all of these in order, means absolutely nothing to you because you're seeing this in the correct spot on the playlist. Mm-hmm. But to everybody watching them as these episodes come out, we only just got to The Tale of the Fox now because we only just got an available copy of it.
Indeed. And it's all thanks to
one of our patrons.
Yeah, all thanks to our patron, Sheba. They were able to find a copy for us that had full subtitles. We had watched...
and was the full thing.
Yes, because we had found a copy that had half the film, but then it just stopped halfway through.
Yeah.
It was just a gray screen after that.
And this is one that we could technically buy, but when I looked for it on Amazon, it was like the cheapest copy of it I could find was $35, and I was like, no.
Unfortunately, we're not made of money here.
Yeah. It's like, someday, Tale of the Fox. Right now, no.
Yeah. But we have found a copy of it, thanks to Sheba again, and now we get to review it for you.
Yeah.
So, this film is actually done by two countries. It was done in conjunction with both the French and the Russians, good old Russians,
yeah,
with their animation history. That being said, this comes before all of that other stuff we've seen from either country. Mm-hmm. In fact, the only animated film that came out before this that we were able to watch was actually Prince Ahmed.
Yeah.
This came out...
So this goes way back.
Mm-hmm. This was, 9 years before Snow White?
7.
7 years?
Yeah.
Okay. I can never remember if Snow White is 37 or 39.
Well, I mean, you do have a list there right in front of you that says the dates.
Oh, I feel bashful. Yes. Yeah, so this came out 4 years after Prince Ahmed, and then 6.
Math.
I can't math today. 7 before Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs comes around.
Yeah.
So this is really early. Also, it's stop motion.
Mm-hmm. Which makes it our first stop motion animated film. I think the first one we've covered that actually comes later was The Emperor's Nightingale.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we've seen any others between now and then, but I think that's it.
Yeah. So here's our actual first stop motion film, and it's very, very, very similar to, if anyone's seen the more recent film of Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, actually. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing that Fantastic Mr. Fox, mm-hmm. That crew drew heavy inspiration from films like this, and I know they also drew inspiration from like the early stop motion, like dinosaur films.
Yeah, like
and,
early
Donkey
Godzilla.
Kong. Not Donkey Kong.
Godzilla. King Kong.
King Kong, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Like, they wanted to make the film look old.
Yeah.
And they succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that movie much later. Yeah. But this is definitely one of the clinching pieces of that whole thing, because it's a bunch of stop motion furries. I'm just gonna say it.
It's like Disney's Robin Hood, if Robin Hood was stop motion.
Yeah, stop motion with hyper-realistic, or fairly realistic animal heads on, like, human bodies.
Yeah, and the modeling they do and stuff for these puppets is really impressive.
Yeah, especially for the time.
Yeah, I would love... I'm guessing there aren't any physical copies of any of these puppets anywhere. If there are, I hope they're in a museum or something like that.
Yeah, because this is very historically important.
Yeah, I would love to see what they look like in high definition.
Yes.
Because I'm sure they look a lot better than they do in this, a black and white
very fuzzy film.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we haven't really talked about what happens in the film yet, but yeah. I mean, this movie has a lot of really interesting stuff about how it was made and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I will say the puppets do tend... Some of them are really good, and then others, most of them, border on kind of uncanny valley...
Where they're just...
ugliness.
They're ugly and kind of, honestly, really creepy to look at.
Yeah, it's like they didn't...
specific motions or things they do with their faces, you just go, yeah, please don't.
And the same thing can be said about the mouths.
Yeah.
The mouths are all just a little too wide.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can't really do, like, delicate mouth movements, which I understand both pros and cons to that.
Yeah.
A nice wide mouth means, like, they can...
Read better.
They read better, but it also looks creepy.
It also looks really creepy when you have fairly realistic heads, like animal heads, and then their mouths are just going rah, 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 rah.
And animal mouths are very wide. So, like, that was probably the artist's first inspiration, was to just go with real life. The problem is when you go directly from real life and you're dealing with artists who, you know, maybe aren't terribly experienced in this, it's like you're losing out on that appeal.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I know this is kind of a weird thing to bring up, but has anyone seen the pictures of the horse that has been photoshopped to have a dog's mouth on it? It's the right level of terrifying for me.
Yeah, that is something that instantly just...
Oh no. That's kind of what it feels like here. Even though these are animals that have the correct size mouths for themselves, just because it's put into animation, everything feels wrong and kind of creepy.
But, that being said, the animation in this movie is pretty impressive.
It is still very clunky in places.
Yeah, there's moments... Like, the animation has moments where it's really nice, and then it jumps to another really nice animation. But the segue between those two pieces of animation don't make a nice fluid arc.
Honestly, there's some points where they literally just, like, jab something onto the screen and push a puppet over. And just film that, and that's the motion. We're like, oh... Okay.
I mean, I don't blame them. Stop motion's really, really friggin' hard.
Really hard and really time-consuming.
And really new.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Okay, we're like quite a bit ways into this review already. Let's actually go over the plot of what happens in this film.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, this is set sort of like a bunch of, I would almost say like Aesop's Fables.
It's very Aesop's Fables.
Okay.
I don't think it is directly based on any particular story. It's just
drawing heavy inspiration
from those kinds of stories. It's like these are the kinds
the fox.
Like these are the kinds of stories that parents make up and tell their kids based on other stories that people have told their kids where, you know, you have a wolf, you have a cat, you have a fox, you have a bear, the king is a lion, because of course.
Yeah, the lion is king.
Yeah, and they fall into their very stereotypical animal roles. Anyway.
So, yeah, we have a lot of different characters. We have the chicken and the rooster. We got the wolf and his family. We got the fox and his family.
Who I didn't think were real until they actually showed up on screen.
Yeah, because his family does not show up until, like, the final third of the movie.
Yeah.
So whenever they talk about it before, whenever they talk about it beforehand, it's like, oh, are they just fibbing here?
Yeah.
Whatever. There's also the badger, the lion. There's a crow. The birds are weird in this movie. I just want to point out, going back to the anthropomorphic thing, any bird that flies has wings and then arms.
Yeah.
And they do it in a strange way. The chickens don't have separate wings.
But they also look creepy.
Because it's a chicken head with a longer distended neck on a human body. And the chicks are terrifying with, like, their wings that are jointed in 5 spots.
Yeah, it's like they've got chicken wings.
But with nubs for hands.
Yeah, but the parents have human hands, like human arms. So you're like,
It's a little...
I'm concerned.
Either way, let's get into some plot. So that's like, it starts out with like opening up a storybook and like, let's tell you the tale of all these things that went on and such. So it's essentially following the fox and how he's a crafty dude and he like tricked a crow out of his food by teaching him to sing. And I'm pretty sure that is a direct Aesop's Fable.
Yeah.
And then there's another...
Well, I feel pretty sure that the one with the fox tricking the wolf to go down the well is one as well.
Yes. Yeah, like, again, I think these are like some direct Aesop's Fables, but with like the overall thing is not.
What confuses me, a lot of these times these Aesop's Fables are like the characters kind of stay the same from story to story. But crows kind of flip-flop to either being really intelligent
or really
stupid. And I'm like...
Well, okay, is it supposed to be crows and ravens?
Oh, you know what? It is. Ravens are really smart and crows, I think, are supposed to be stupid. Just, they're very similar birds.
Yeah, the one's just a bigger version of the other one. Either way, so the fox hoodwinks and hijinks everyone. Specifically the wolf. He really picks on the wolf a lot. And the wolf has a wife that hates him and children that are dumb.
The fox hates the wolf because the wolf ate all the fish the fox was throwing out the back of the cart that he was stealing fish from.
Yeah. So now he just plays nasty tricks on him, like getting his tail, like telling him he can go fishing with his tail in ice, so his tail freezes, and then he sends a bunch of villagers to beat the crap out of him.
This fox is out for blood.
Yeah, he tries to kill people all the time by sending humans after them.
And I'm surprised he doesn't.
Yeah, he kills ones of people.
And it's like... His death rate should be much higher. It's like you send a bunch of human villagers out after a wolf twice, and they just beat him up.
They only beat him up, and all they got was his tail.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
He also does the same thing to a bear later on.
Yeah.
Either way, he tricks a bunch of people. He almost eats a rabbit in a church.
Not a great guy.
No, and everyone's complaining and goes to the king because the fox is a terrible person. And the badger is like a cousin of the fox and is like, no, it's fine, king.
These are all lies, blasphemous lies.
These aren't true. Don't believe anything that they're saying. This is what really happened. And then he tells a different version of the story where the other person was in the wrong, not the fox.
Yeah.
And the king is like, this is all an issue, so how about no one eats anyone? Except me.
Okay.
I can eat people, but no one else can.
The king says in order for peace to rule throughout the land,
no meat.
No subjects are allowed to eat each other.
We're all going vegetarian.
Except me and the queen.
Can eat on Thursdays and Sundays.
On Thursdays and Sundays. I'm just like, oh dear. While we were watching this, in my head I'm thinking like, this is like a history lesson for the citizens of Zootopia.
Yeah. Oh man. Either way, so this decree goes out and everyone sees, and the fox is like, me, a vegetarian? I'll try it. And he eats a flower, and she's like, nope. Nope, that's not gonna work. So he immediately goes to...
Because King Leo the Lion, you cannot tell, and other viewers at home who might think this, you cannot make carnivores herbivores.
It will kill them.
It will kill them.
Let your carnivore pets eat meat.
Yes.
Substitutes don't work.
No.
It'll make them incredibly unhealthy.
They might live, but they will be in pain.
Miserable, miserable animals. Just give them meat. All right. that tangent aside, the fox is like, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to eat plants. So he immediately... I mean, it's not immediate. There's like a scene where everyone's dancing and singing and having fun. And yay, no one's going to eat us anymore. So the fox goes over to the chicken and is like, hey, you got a nice wife there. Let me dance with her. Dances with her and then picks her up and runs out the door and eats her.
Well, okay. Before we get that scene, though, we get a scene of the rooster bringing his wife in, and she's nothing but bones. And then chicks come out from under the little curtain that she's in, and they're like, "Mommy, mommy!"
And you're like, "Holy crap, that's dark."
I was like, "Ugh."
Yeah. And then he tells the story of how the fox came in and like ran off with his wife and ate her.
Yeah, and of course the badger's like, no, this is a lie as well, because actually...
Obviously, the rooster killed his wife to frame the fox.
Well, he's like, the rooster killed his wife because the rooster knows that she sleeps around with other animals or something, to which I'm just like...
Slut shaming is not cool. Yo. And needless to say, the lion has had enough of the badger's crap at this point. He's like, nope, you're in jail.
Yeah, throws the badger in jail, and it's like, all right,
you're
now
in the dungeon.
Bring me the fox.
Bring me the fox. I need to talk to him. So he sends the bear, and the fox is like, oh no, the bear's coming. Well, I'll trick him into thinking there's honey in this thing.
First, though, the fox tries...
Pretending to be sick?
And that goes nowhere.
Yeah, but then there's like honey there, and he's like, oh, you like honey? Well, let me show you where a lot of honey is. And then he takes the bear.
Oh, I actually feel like that just clicked. Okay, what? He's pretending to be sick, so they have honey set out. Because if he's sick, in the olden times, people would eat honey to help soothe your throat.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Okay. That makes sense now. I just had to think about it a little bit more.
Anyways, he convinces the bear that there's honey in this log, and he gets his head stuck in there. And then he's like, help humans, there's a bear. Come beat the crap out of him. So he gets the crap beat out of him. And so the king is like, all right, who next? I'll send the random minstrel this minstrel cat that is in love with my wife. That's a weird subplot that goes nowhere.
But also, they're on the poster.
Yeah, the cat is on the poster.
The minstrel cat and the queen are on the poster.
Meow.
Meow, meow.
You might need to put that song at the end.
I think so.
But, yeah, so the cat goes, and the fox is like, oh, it's a minstrel, so I'll pretend to be a minstrel, and there's a mouse here. Oh, you like mice? Come to this place, and I'll show you where you can get mice forever. It's like mouse heaven or something.
Right, and I'm just like, wait.
How is everyone falling for this?
I thought, eating the subjects was, banned.
Banned, so you're telling this minstrel, come here and eat this thing you're not allowed to eat. Yeah.
2, why do they listen to the fox at all at this point? Someone just be like, all right, just go arrest him. Whatever he says is probably a lie. Mm-hmm. Even if it isn't, who cares?
Yeah, it's like...
Gag him.
Obviously, he's bad news, but people still listen to him. Mm-hmm. And this doesn't end.
No.
So, the cat gets the crap beat out of him by humans because he gets caught in a trap. So... Who's next?
The badger.
Oh, yeah. Finally, the king's like, clearly, you, badger, are the only one who can possibly...
Who is clever enough.
Who is clever enough. He uses the word clever specifically. Who is clever enough to...
Who's not an idiot.
Who's not an idiot to trick the fox into coming and talking to me. It's like, you either do this or I kill you. And the badger's like, you know what? I like my skin more than I like my cousin, so I'll do it. So he goes, he's like, the king has no hard feelings for you. He just wants to chat. Come on, it'll be fine.
I like how the definition of being clever is just lying. like base easy lies that are like
you could see through it immediately.
Yeah, any amount of scrutiny, you're just like, yeah, no, you are just lying to me.
Uh-huh.
Wow, so clever.
So then the fox has a pointless dream sequence. He's like, I'll sleep on it, and has a dream sequence.
Oh, yeah, I completely forgot
where he has a
this.
fight to the death with the wolf in front of the king.
He really hates that wolf.
He really hates the wolf. And, like, this is a really drawn-out fight where he loses part of it and then comes back, and finally it's a very back-and-forth type of thing. And for some reason, there's a 1930s announcer monkey doing the whole thing, because it's that time of year. It's that time, folks, that the radio announcer is the one that's going to tell you how it's all going down. And even though it's all in French, that's exactly what it sounds like, because it's the announcer voice from the 1930s. There's only one. You had to have that voice in order to be on radio back then. Proven fact. Hoo-wee, it's a swinger, yo.
Well, and
Not
then
yo.
at the... Yo, dog.
Wowzers.
Anyway,
A scrap battle.
at the end of his dream, doesn't he get knighted by the king?
I don't remember if he gets knighted, but he wins and everyone's like, yay!
We love you!
And the queen is just like, oh.
Yeah, faints. Oh.
I don't know if she actually faints, but she's just like swooning.
Yeah.
And how masculine the fox is. So the fox wakes up and he's like, yeah, I'll go talk to the king. It's going to be great. And he goes and the king is like, you're arrested. We're going to hang you.
And they put the noose around the fox's head. And the fox is like,
wait! I have one last thing to say.
I was going to give you all the treasure that I had, king. But now, since you're going to be killing me, I guess I can't. And the king is like,
treasure?
Go on. And you're like, oh my god.
And so he's like, bring him here.
Even the people, like, everybody is there.
And they're just like, are you serious?
The executioner's like, kidding me right now?
What kind of animal was...
I have no idea. Maybe like some kind of meerkat or something.
I thought he
was Wolverine.
Honestly, I thought he was some sort of like mountain lion or caracal or
I have no idea.
Some sort
His puppet
random
was
large
kind of
cat.
bad.
Yeah, it was very unclear
well.
what animal he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Heck, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was supposed to be some sort of monkey and they put ears on it for some reason. I don't know. Either way, he's like, I was going to give you all this treasure. Also, the wolf, your bear, and the minstrel are all trying to kill you and take your throne. And the lion's like, throw them in jail!
Yeah, he's like, the bear is planning to take your spot. The cat is in on it with him.
Because he wants your wife.
And... the wolf is the one they've sent to assassinate you.
It could be a couple of days, or it could be in just a few minutes.
And then, right at that second,
the wolf's like, you son of a gun, I'm gonna kill you, you stupid fox. And then the executioner's...
he pulls out a knife.
And then the executioner's like, grabs him like, assassin! And I was like...
I mean, this movie does have its moments where it is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Just because of how ridiculous it is.
And so the lion throws them all in jail, and then he goes off to go dig up this treasure that the fox said was there.
Okay, another problem with how quote-unquote clever this fox is he keeps doing things where he's like, oh, I'm going to trick you.
It's like, let me tell you about this really cool thing. And then immediately after he does it, he's like, fooled you! Ha ha ha!
Right. And it's
to their face. It's like, you idiot.
It's like, you know, they're gonna come back after you.
So obviously, the king is really angry.
Yeah.
So he summons the entire army to take down the wolf's castle. Fox's castle.
Apparently the fox is a castle.
Yeah, he's like a noble of some sort. Because of course he is. So then we get It's like a 10-minute scene.
It's pretty long.
It's a really long scene where people slowly climb into his castle in one of the various windows, and the fox has set up all these wily contraptions there. He flips a switch and it bonks them in the face or drops a rock on them and they fall back out the window just for the next person to jump in. And also, before all this started, the executioner animal was given a horn and is like, when I blow this will mean the retreat and we're done.
Right.
And then he goes in, and before he does, he gives it to the chicken or the rooster and like, hold on to this for me.
Yeah.
At one point, the fox child throws a bug on a string down. The rooster eats it. Gets the string caught in his throat. Then this tiny fox cub pulls the chicken up like 17 stories or something.
By the throat.
By the throat.
By the esophagus, even.
And then gets the horn.
And sounds the retreat.
And this is about the time where people were finally getting into the castle. And they're like, oh, well, we're done. And they throw down their weapons and just walk out.
And then they're just like, oh, well, I gotta go home and eat supper.
Yep. And so the movie wraps up with the line...
being like, you know what?
You're all really dumb. So the fox is smart and he has become my new confidant. You will obey him
like
as you obey.
He's new prime minister or something.
He is my right-hand man. You will obey him as though he were me. And all of this stuff.
Like, that is a terrible idea.
That's a terrible idea, and the movie ends.
You know, apparently we were supposed to be rooting for the fox.
I mean, he was obviously the protagonist of the entire story, but he was also the antagonist of the entire story.
Right.
Or the villain?
Yeah, antagonist.
Well, no, that's not... The protagonist can be a villain.
Yeah.
The protagonist in this case was a villain. The antagonists were the good guys. Antagonist is just whoever's against the protagonist.
I guess.
So, in this case, we were following the villain around, and all the good guys were trying to stop him, and the bad guy wins.
Yeah, cause
he's smart, quote unquote.
He's so clever, Sean.
He's the clever, wily fox, because that's what foxes are.
Yes.
So, the lesson of the story: play terrible pranks on people, eat your neighbor's wife,
just lie to people.
It'll
get you so far in life, and no one will hate you. In fact, you'll be in a position of power where they can't hate you anymore. Mm-hmm. Isn't that a great lesson?
This is a wonderful lesson, 1930s. Thank you.
Honestly, explains a lot. Sorry, too real there.
Yeah, it was a little too real.
So, I mean...
It's interesting.
From a historical perspective, it's interesting, and it does have its funny moments. Mm-hmm. The animation is serviceable, a bit choppy. The video quality definitely leaves something to be desired. The biggest problem I have with recommending this one is the accessibility of it.
Yeah, it is still very difficult to find and very expensive if you want to buy the DVD for it.
Yeah.
Another thing to keep in mind is if you don't speak, I believe it was French. Mm-hmm. I believe his French was the audio for this. If you don't speak French, the subtitles go by very quickly and they're not necessarily translated very well.
Yeah, it's like it gets the story by, but
if there's any wordplay, you're not gonna get it.
Yeah, and there's definitely wordplay that we're missing out on. That it's just like, I bet that sounds a lot more clever in its original language.
Indeed. So, I think that just about wraps it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Another, I guess, little interesting tidbit about this one.
Tell me.
Is, I think it was, if I remember this correctly, it was partway filmed in 1930, and like it was all filmed then,
okay.
but the audio was, or something about it was completely
part of the post-production was not
wrong.
Done? Oh.
And so
they had to redo that part?
So the movie was done, but it didn't actually release until like 1937 or 1939.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because they had to like try to fix it?
I guess.
Wow. I will say another thing is, it's impressive how many different puppets and backgrounds they did for this, because there are a lot of sets.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is stop motion, so every single puppet and set had to be created by hand.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of extra background cast. Like, it has a huge main cast, but also there's just background characters everywhere.
They just keep going and going and going.
Like multiple frogs and like lots of little baby chicks and
like entire swaths of mice and like things that show up in one scene for like 30 seconds or 2 seconds sometimes, and then it's gone and never shows up again.
And most of the time they aren't just sitting still either. There's usually some kind of movement being done with all of them, and yeah, it's very impressive.
The amount of work put into this movie is incredibly impressive.
It's just also not terribly good. But hey, what can you do?
All right, I think that will wrap it up for this episode. So if you're watching in chronological order in the future, up next you'll be seeing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But for anybody watching this in present times, we're actually jumping to Walt Disney as well. Yeah. But this time we're going to Peter Pan.
Yeah. See you then. Chacun